Let's kick things off with a simple truth. People might work because they have to, but they perform at their best because they actually want to. Welcome to this explainer on motivation and coaching. Today we're exploring the idea that truly great leaders don't just push people to perform, they help them discover exactly why they want to perform. They don't just command, they coach. So let's look at the exact science and frameworks behind how the best leaders actually pull this off. Here's our roadmap for today to help build out your coaching toolkit. We'll look at two very different types of managers, unpack the situational leadership model, and dive into some really fascinating emotional intelligence research. Then, we'll explore the servant leader mindset, cover some common motivation mistakes you'll want to avoid, and wrap it all up with a practical coaching challenge.
All right, Section 1. Two types of managers.
I want you to picture two completely different types of managers you've probably encountered at some point in your career. On one side, we have Manager A. This is your classic, traditional boss. They rely on giving orders, pointing out every little mistake, and focusing strictly on the end result. And you know what happens? Under Manager A, teams usually do the absolute bare minimum just to avoid getting in trouble. But then, look at Manager B. This leader coaches instead of commanding. They actively encourage growth, they recognize effort, and they actually roll up their sleeves to help solve problems. Under Manager B, the team consistently exceeds expectations. So think about that for a second. What kind of leader would make you excited to give your absolute best every single day? Motivation is the true energy behind performance. Without it, productivity drops, creativity tanks, and teams become entirely reactive. But with it, people take initiative and become incredibly resilient. You see, leadership isn't about creating pressure. It's about creating purpose.
Moving right along to Section 2, the situational leadership model.
If we want to become that inspiring Manager B, we need a reliable framework. And that's where Dr. Paul Hersey's renowned situational leadership model comes into play. The core philosophy here is pretty simple but powerful. There is absolutely no one-size-fits-all leadership style. It's entirely about adapting to your team members' readiness, rather than just defaulting to whatever happens to be your own comfort zone. You have to look at their ability, meaning their actual knowledge and skill, and their willingness, meaning their confidence and motivation for a specific given task. To do this right, situational leaders master three progressive steps. First, they diagnose. They literally stop and analyze the environment and the individual before they act. Second, they adapt. They recognize that it's up to the leader to adjust to the team member, not the other way around. And third, they communicate in a way that the team member can easily understand and get on board with. Notice how the leader's behavior shifts based on that diagnosis. You're moving along a continuum from high task direction to high relationship support. Think about it. If someone is brand new to a task, they need directing. But as they gain some skill, even if they maybe lack a little confidence, you shift to coaching. You provide context and open up a dialogue. When they become highly skilled, you move to collaborating, where you're just supporting their decisions. And finally, for your true experts, you step back into empowering. You trust them to run with it and suggest improvements. You're matching your style exactly to what they need in that moment.
That brings us to Section 3, getting along to get ahead.
So how does emotional intelligence act as the engine for all these specific coaching behaviors? Well, we have to look at this fascinating INSEAD working paper by researchers Guillen and Florent Tracy. They analyzed a massive data set from 360-degree leadership behavior surveys covering over 900 managers. They wanted to see exactly how emotional intelligence actually impacts perceived leadership performance in the real world.
What they found was that leadership effectiveness divides into two broad categories. First, you have getting along behaviors. These are things like fostering teamwork, building collaborative interactions, and empowering others by making sure they have a voice. On the flip side, you have getting ahead behaviors. These are your more inspirational, results-driven actions like casting a vision, energizing the team, and designing reward systems. And here is the absolutely crucial takeaway from their research. A leader's emotional awareness doesn't just magically make them an inspirational visionary. Their emotional intelligence has to first translate into tangible, getting along behaviors. You have to do the heavy lifting of building teamwork and empowerment first. Only when a leader establishes that baseline of trust and collaboration can they successfully design a vision that the team will actually want to follow.
Let's move to Section 4, the servant leader mindset. Building on this proven need for deep collaboration and trust, we find the ultimate coaching mindset in Robert Greenleaf's concept of servant leadership. It's unique because it operates on the philosophy that the absolute best leaders put the needs, well-being, and professional growth of their people above their own ego or thirst for power. It all starts with the natural feeling that you want to serve first.
And this is a great way to look at it. There's a really distinct difference between a highly effective transformational leader and a servant leader. While a transformational leader motivates followers to sacrifice their own needs for the sake of the organization's goals, a servant leader actually sacrifices their own needs for the followers' development. It's a massive paradigm shift, and honestly, it's one that results in huge increases in job satisfaction and organizational commitment.
All right, Section 5, Common Motivation Mistakes.
Of course, mastering this kind of situational adaptability and servant mindset takes some real practice. So, where do managers usually trip up? Well, the absolute biggest mistake is forcing a single leadership style on everyone. Think about it. If you micromanage a seasoned expert, you're going to instantly destroy their motivation. But on the flip side, if you completely delegate a complex new task to a total beginner, you are setting them up for panic and failure. A rigid, one-size-fits-all approach completely ignores the reality of the human being right in front of you.
And there are a few other common traps you'll want to watch out for. Believing leadership is just about your own individual charisma rather than how you facilitate the group. Or failing to establish that baseline trust and fairness we saw was so vital in the Inside study. Another big one is treating relationships purely as a transactional exchange. I do this, you do that, rather than genuinely caring about someone's growth. We've all heard the old truth. People don't leave organizations, they leave poor leadership.
Finally, Section 6, a practical coaching challenge.
Let's put all these concepts into action with a practical, science-backed challenge for your upcoming week. I challenge you to consciously practice the situational leadership approach by coaching someone rather than just commanding them. Here's what you do. Pick one specific task for a team member. Diagnose where they actually are. Are they highly skilled but maybe lacking a little confidence right now? Are they super eager but totally inexperienced? Figure that out, and then shift your style to match. Ask them what they're trying to achieve, find out their biggest challenge, and ask, how can I support you?
Keep this quote from the Center for Creative Leadership in the back of your mind as you do this. Leadership is a social process. The true measure of a leader isn't their title or their individual personality traits. It's the collective direction, alignment, and commitment they achieve by empowering the people around them.
I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. A manager gets work done through people, but a leader helps people become successful. Motivation doesn't come from fear or pressure. It comes from effective coaching and genuine purpose. So which one are you choosing to be today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the incredible nuances of great leadership.